Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Jim. If you can hear me, you're the first one there. It's Ryan here. I'm just waiting to get some people in here. It's about a minute till, so let's see what happens. Good morning. Good morning.
We got it.
All right. Good morning. Hello.
Good
morning.
Gotta make this full screen.
There we go. How are we doing today?
I don't have video. I'm driving down the road.
Oh, good morning. There we are.
Yeah,
Zooming in.
it all works.
Nice. Thank you for joining.
But I don't know how to do it on this computer.
I think it's going to do my iPhone.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
I know. There's not very many people.
Yeah, slow start here. I think we should wait, if you can hear me, a few minutes, see if we can get a few more on board here. for a day.
So, click the menu level, and then down the lower left, you can hit the
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
We can hear you fine.
Oh, perfect. Okay, this is my first time with this new camera at my office here, so I was hoping the microphone works. That's great news.
Yep.
Well, how's everybody doing today?
Good, good.
All right, that's good.
Just a good
Yeah, we're
rain.
good.
Yeah, like your Christmas tree there in the background. That looks good.
Oh,
Awesome. Always like that. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So got a few things on the agenda today. Hopefully we can get a couple more people joining up here and give them a few minutes. And otherwise we can start. Just at least I'm recording this, so worst case scenario, we'll have to share some recording, I suppose, with whoever needs it. Yeah, I was hoping we get a few more.
yeah, we better.
Yeah. Rachel emailed me a moment ago, said she was on her way, so we should get Rachel here in a couple minutes at least. I think Dick Kirk and David Ulmer were planning on joining as well. Miley, I don't think can make it today.
I was surprised to see how quickly 8:30 in the morning arrives on a Saturday at our house.
Yeah, very fast. Very.
It's pretty slow.
Yeah, that's great. I got two little kids, so 8 o'clock is, I'm never asleep that late or into the morning.
Hit the ground running, huh?
Yeah, too much. So my boy was up all night with some tummy ache or something, and he woke up feeling 100%, though I'm like, had 4 hours of sleep because of it. So I'm off to a slow start, but coffee is an amazing thing. You know, it really helps parents. So, yeah.
The non-parents.
There we go. It's what's going on here? There we go. My computer acted haywire there for a second. So, not getting too many here this morning. I think what I might just start with, because the other chapter leaders have gotten this report, is just reading over the CRFG treasurer's report from John. He's in Colorado right now. So maybe we can just start there. I think that's something we can at least record, and I know the others have seen this. So I'll start there just to kind of.
Oh, here's David.
There's David, cool. So we'll give David a moment to get on and get that started there. Good morning. Good morning, David.
Good morning. Good morning,
How are you?
everybody.
Good morning.
Sorry, I'm a little
Good.
late. I had to update my computer. I didn't realize it was going to take so long.
No problem. I'm glad it's working here. It's my first time with this new camera here at my office, so I was really thrilled that it all was working.
Yeah, you need a little front light on your head.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my first time. I can probably get a little background here. Do my
Yeah,
little bit.
I always look like I'm blue when I'm on my computer. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking kind of dark this morning here on this one. Well, let's see. It's not agreeing with me. Try it again. Anyways, there we go. That's a little better. All right.
Did you notice the email from Rachel? She's running a little late.
I did, yeah. So
Okay.
maybe I'll try to do this. Get that up. There we go. Okay. Cool. That's a little better. So I was thinking of starting with just reading off John's treasure report, since he's in Colorado right now, and I think everyone's been delivered that report, but I wanted to get it recorded on the meeting. Maybe we can do that while some people are hopefully joining up, if that sounds agreeable. So I'm just going to kind of read this off what John sent us, if that's okay. So Treasurer's Report 2021. Redwood Empire, of course. This is from December 12th. And he starts with our owned equipment, fixtures, and assets. We still have approximately $1,500 worth of tables, cider press. Or I give Rachel a second here. Start over. We got Rachel coming. Good morning, Rachel.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Thanks for
Hi.
joining us. Thank you for joining.
Sure.
I was going to start today with the treasurer's report, just reading it off. John's in Colorado, I believe, helping one of the family members with a college thing. So I'm going to read that off to start with, and I think we'll just start our minutes there, and then we can kind of just go from there if that's agreeable. So treasurer's report 2021, CRFG Redwood Empire. This is from December 12th this year, created with John. So our owned equipment, fixtures and assets, we still have approximately $1,500 in tables, cider press, juicer, and easy ups, etc. Our bank accounts still are at the Exchange Bank, and our home branch is the Sebastopol branch in Sonoma County. Our savings account, the beginning balance is $35,049.25. Our ending savings account balance is $35,058.88. So we got a little bit probably from interest there. Checking account, beginning balance, $4,952.80. And our ending balance was $85.88 So we had an income of $4,531.25. That might be a little higher from some of the last minute tree sales from David. This income came from mostly sales of trees and plants at our annual tree sale in August at the farmer's market in Santa Rosa. David, our bio manager, did sell several trees as well before and after that market. And he had stored the trees at his house. Other board members, Phil Pieri and Miley Pieri, sold some trees separate from the actual group event and brought some trees to the market. Gene also contributed at the market as well with some plants and trees. Expenses in 2021 was $896.04. This can be broken down into the root stock that our bio manager, David, purchased from Willamette Nursery for $676.04 and dues of $220 to maintain our one-year membership of our groups.io account, which is, I find has been working really well. I have made a deposit, and this is John, I have made a deposit to reserve the Santa Rosa Veterans Memorial Building for our sign exchange of February 6, 2022. All required paperwork has been filled out and sent back to Stephanie Goodwin. She is the current manager of the Santa Rosa Veterans Building. And if any questions, John, we can reach out to John about that. So I'd like to get that in the books. Is there any questions or concerns with that from anybody? Yeah.
I have just one addition. There'll be another $400 coming in of trees that I've sold since I sent the last amount to John. That's in my bio manager report, I think.
Thank you very much. Thanks, David. You've really championed that for us this last year. We appreciate that. Let's see here. So, okay, so that'll be that concern there. Quick, I'm gonna kind of go back and forth through a few different things, but Zoom Pro account. So we had little problems getting that. Did get a hold of John Foley finally. He's actually seems fine. He wasn't irritated. I think I just missed him for whatever. Maybe he didn't see my email. So it doesn't seem like there was any problem there. He said he can help me probably transition to a new webmaster. If Jim's, I think, is also on board with trying to find someone else to do webmaster work for us. But before that, the pro account has been paid by John Foley. And I sent a note to John, our treasurer, to reimburse him there. So that should be handled. And he did a 3-year plan for us so that we won't have to deal with it every year. I'm really excited about the Zoom Pro account. This is kind of my deepest I've been into it, but I feel like we're going to have a much easier time scheduling speakers and group events, garden tours, things I've really been wanting to do, to be honest with you, the last year, and didn't really know how to get it started, I suppose. But so there's a couple speakers in mind. I'd really love to get Dan Bussey and maybe even someone from the Lost Apple Project. I'm really into pawpaws. There's some pawpaw speakers I'd like to try to get to schedule in the future for us and things like that. As well as garden tours, I think could be really fun, potentially on Zoom as well, even year round. I mean, we have citrus and other things, so there's always something to go look at that's colorful in the garden, I feel like. So that's something that I want to work on more for us moving forward. And just in general, I want to encourage everybody to try to do more of that. I feel like some of the other chapters have really done a great job with the speakers and whatnot. And it's been really great that they've shared with everybody. So I feel like we've all kind of been able to enjoy other talks, from other chapters as well. But we can do more of that too. We are in a really wonderful area with a lot of great people and gardens and just a lot of interesting things like Burbank's avocados. I mean, there's so many things here that are unique that I feel like the rest of our membership would probably really enjoy. Good morning, Alan. How are you, sir? So that's the sort of the Zoom Pro account's going really well. Yes, please. Let's see. I think you're muted there. Oops. You can unmute there if you would like on Carol's one. I think you guys are. I think you're muted on the mic. Yeah. There you go. Was there a comment? I'm sorry.
No.
Oh no! Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. My apology. So the Zoom's going great. I definitely want to continue that, and I feel like that's a great way for us to do some. Rachel, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, do you have an idea of how frequently you would like to do that? Do you want to try to do it quarterly? Do you want to do it like monthly? What would be your goal for something like that for outreach? And would you need assistance for that? I don't know that I could probably provide that. I'm teaching 2 SRGs in the Davis class and trying to graduate this year. But if you want to set like a goal that I can put in the minutes, then we might be able to use that as a recruitment tool.
Yeah, I would think that we should easily be able to do this quarterly, and it would be probably amazing to try to do it bi-monthly to monthly if there's enough interest. I suppose it depends on what's going on and everything, but I just love that the door is open now, I think, for us and our chapter to do this more, and also to share with the other chapters when we do it like they've done, so that it just brings just so much more to the group that way. And with so
let me add that having meetings on Zoom, while not the same as being able to hug each other, I realize, but having the meetings on Zoom is desirable in many ways. And one of them is you don't have to get in the car and drive 1,000,000 miles.
It's true. It's a true. And, I live in Napa, and often most of the things are in Sebastopol or Santa Rosa, which is over an hour away from me. So a lot of times I'm doing 2.5, sometimes 3 hours. Rachel's going to Davis a lot, and, so she's got a lot of driving, and we have some other members from San Francisco, right. And, and Marin, and even some up in Humboldt that come down or in Mendocino, I should say. So, so it really does help with that. And, and I'm always been a proponent of using the technology. I've been in a band from Brazil since 2005, where without internet, it would never have happened. I would never have done those things. And, I don't even go in the same room with those people. Besides touring, we won't see each other for 2 years and get on stage. And so it can never happen without things like this, and FaceTime or those kind of, ways. It all started with instant messenger, really, 15 years ago. Now here it's so high tech. So that's really exciting, and I definitely look forward to trying to do more of that. That's something that I feel hasn't happened enough with our group, and it's definitely partly on me. I've had a very hectic last 2 years. 2020, both my businesses were completely shut down for 6 months against my will, and this last year I'm back up again, but it's been really, the last 6 months has been just incredibly hectic. And about 3 weeks ago, things started cooling down. So I've really trying to get more going on here, as time's allowed for me personally. And I do apologize for not being able to do more for the group. I really had planned to be honest with you guys. So what can we do, right? We move forward. And so I'm going to move on next to, let's see here. Yeah. So sorry, I did write that. So there was a note from Miley about Burbank Farm update. Does anyone know what she might have been talking about with that by chance? I'm not sure if.
I've worked with them a little bit. They were redoing the apple fence. They fenced in. Oh, now I got to try to type and talk at the same time. I'll type it later. So I know that they fenced in the apple orchard area that we had donated apple trees for. And so they were really doing some good deer protection against those critters. And then they were also trying to do some more mole stuff. They got a new curator on site. It's been there for, I guess, probably a year and a half now. And so I guess that's what our main involvement with them was just the apple fence. I'm planning on getting some accessions to them. They're doing type specimens for all of the Burbank trees that I have here.
Cool.
And then they were also looking towards doing like more cover cropping and some new fresh ideas there. So we have an opportunity to, you know, help facilitate their growth process as well. But I don't know exactly what they need. So I could reach out to them and find out.
Okay.
I do know that we worked with the Corvallis repository to send up the medlars and the sorbus taxa that they had over at the farm.
Cool.
So now those should probably be backed up at Corvallis if they got them to take.
Awesome. Right on.
That's great.
Yeah. I didn't realize there was Midler there. That's really cool.
I have one comment about that too, Rachel. Is it Jamie Self? Is that his name? The curator, Jamie Self. He ordered a bunch of rootstocks through us last year. And so I'm hoping that he is really going to town with that. He seemed like a very energetic, interested person. So that's great.
Awesome. That's great news. Excellent. Yeah, that's really cool. There's so much there with what Burbank did. You know, it's right in our backyard. It's really exciting. Let's see. So I think this is something, Alan, you there? So I want to talk briefly about scholarships. This has been something that I think has been a little bit on pause. It's been kind of hard to go get into schools, and you know, I've done I've went into high schools 2019 and before for a few years. I'd go do some school grafting, you know, on my own, teach kids how to graft and those kind of things. And it's been a little awkward, you know, the last couple of years as far as like a stranger going into a school to do things that aren't really that mandatory, you know, to do. So I think as far as like the school grafting thing, I know that we've done some in Sonoma at I believe it was the junior high or the elementary school even. I would love to get that going again, but I think at this point, this school year is probably not going to make sense. So maybe let's hope for fall to try to maybe restart that. I think we could still potentially give some scholarships if we have some connections to teachers that have their feet on the ground and their ear to the ground, so to speak, with maybe a few students that they really feel would shine by getting something like that. There's in Napa County, the high school that is, I don't know what you call it, the bad kids high school or whatever, that's completely wrong. But like, you know, when kids get in trouble too many times, they go to this school. So that's called Valley Oak in Napa. And one of the main teachers is actually a neighbor of mine. And I had gone in there, not necessarily as CRFG, but just kind of as myself. And we did our private rootstock order, and I went in and taught kids how to graft and stuff. And there was a few of them that really loved it. And like, were really like, just, you could tell like this kid's into it. And the other ones, you know, care less or try to look at their phone or whatever. But I think that, you know, that teacher contact would probably have at least one student that might benefit from a scholarship this season. So I'm going to revisit that if that's okay with you guys and see if she does. And maybe potentially we can get with Alan and maybe do.
Yeah, I'm here. We had originally had some contacts at the JC and Sonoma State. And so we had, and I think Rachel helped coordinate that to give a scholarship to, it wasn't a huge amount, but to students in the ag program, particularly if they had projects involving fruit trees.
Cool.
So we had that going. Mike Rowe preceded me in this spot, had some contacts with the local high school, but those kind of faded out in the interim since I took over. But we might even just contact the local high schools, you know, West County or Annalee, whatever they call it these days, and in Sebastopol,
yeah.
may have some students interested in, you know, ag programs. I mean, a lot of the local farmers actually are graduates of Annalee High School. They come from ag backgrounds.
Right.
So it's maybe reasonable to ask over at Annalee, just send a note even to the principal and say, here's who we are, here's what we do. Is there anybody, a teacher interested in doing some follow-up on that? Yeah,
I would love to do that some more. I think it would benefit some. You the right kid. It's got to be the right kids, but the teachers, yes, Hey, David. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to continue with this, what Ellen was saying. I have done the same type of thing you did, and, with the continuation high school here in Sebastopol. What do they call that, Alan? You remember that?
Laguna High School.
Laguna High. Yeah, and had the same experience. I had two kids in that class that really took to it. I mean, they really, and of course, like you say, there are kids out in the back that just, but yeah. So they're, and these kids had been going to the high school in Forestville, and they had been in the ed class up there. They had been in it for 2 or 3 years and had never had any introduction to grafting at all.
Wow.
So they were delighted with this sort of thing. So, and by the way, I'm not sure you're still a member, but one of the teacher there who got me there is a member of our group or has been. So I do have one contact with that
Perfect.
high school. So we can do that.
Yeah. Rachel, please. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Penny. She's been waiting.
Sorry, I didn't see her.
So Rachel, was it Brian that you introduced to us a long time ago for a scholarship?
Don't remember.
Well, it was somebody that Rachel brought to a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of my horticulture students.
And I'm
Right.
thinking that it might be the same Brian that is now president of CRFG Golden Gate.
Oh, that Brian. Yes,
Brian Levine?
that's Brian.
And he
Yeah.
has been very active. And so that's a place where our scholarship didn't benefit us here, but did really wonderful work. That was good. And he's good.
Nice. That's great news. Yeah, these are great stories, and you really have a chance to change someone's life, and joining CRFG changed mine. I mean, I bought a property because I had nowhere else to plant plants at home. So like I've really just gone, with it personally too. So it all started from seeing the Bohemian with Phil in front of his pear trees, maybe like 10 years ago or something. I was like, oh, like you could have more than 5 pears, like what, on the same tree? In my mind, and Phil and David and some of the others taught me how to graft, and so it's quite exciting to be full circle in that sense, right now. And yeah, it's just really cool. And so if we can do that to start some young children, younger adults or young teenagers them going on it, obviously that's a really cool thing. And I'm all for it. So no, there's no real rush. I mean, obviously they're going to be in vacation for the next 3 weeks. We just started the Christmas vacation and everything. So, but maybe it's something we could look into, in a month or two, and before school ends, maybe there's a couple kids that we could get going with that, and that would be nice. And we could probably get maybe a feature even in the fruit gardener for them or something like that. Give a little more exposure, if you will, for those people. So I'm gonna write that as being a good little idea here for us.
Yeah, I know historically one of our problems was that we just didn't recruit very well. And so like one of the things that we probably need to do is have a page that's dedicated to that on our website, and then also send it around to membership whenever they're recruiting. Sometimes we've been able to give it to a niece or a nephew or, somebody that has a connection that knows somebody that's interested in horticulture. The other thing that I did this year is I started working with Santa Rosa Junior College on this, it's called a community engagement class, where I get students from different high schools and they're in dual enrollment with the high school and the SRJC. And they do internship stuff with me here at the Burbank Gardens. And I do have 2 students who have this dual enrollment that are interested in grafting and that are doing things like, they're doing a whole grafting section. So they do everything from fruit trees to hibiscus and tomatoes and peppers. And we do like the whole swath throughout the whole spring quarter. So those would be people that I could recruit to directly because they've been putting in the work here as well. But I think in general, to cast our net a little wider, we just need to have a little bit better communication with the general public that we have this available.
Yeah, I agree. Most people just don't know about what we're doing, and there's in that sense, the sky's the limit. So it's a little more exposure would help, you know, and even just reaching out to the different principals would be a great start, you know, for us to expand a little bit. So thank you all for that. And, you know, let's see how that goes. See what's next on the agenda here. We've got the 2022 grafting party. Maybe we should probably hold off on scheduling that till the rootstocks come in, I'm assuming, right? That work for you, David?
Yeah. You know, we'll probably get the rootstocks around the 1st of March. And usually around the middle of March is when I like to have the grafting thing.
Okay.
And we'll see what COVID's doing at the time, what we're going to do. You know, last year, I farmed out the grafting to Carol and several other people. And we had tremendous results on the apples. I mean, we had 100% graft takes of the 5 people who grafted apples, 100%.
Awesome.
And one of those trees died for some reason, but otherwise they all did fine.
Cool.
The pears that Bob McCarville and I grafted, for some reason, didn't do as well. I think there's a rootstock problem. Those pear rootstocks just don't seem to push things as well as the apple ones do. So anyway, we did get some stuff done. And I think, I don't know, I had 65 apples and 22 or 23 pears that we had growing on this year. And that'll be in the biomanager report. Anyway.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's see here. We do got to do the biomanager report. Do you want to do the biomanager report, David?
I can.
Okay.
Has everybody read that? I sent it out to some people.
I have.
Can you share screen, Ryan?
Let's see here.
If you can share screen, I can pull that up so people we can scroll down on it.
Let me see. How do I do that?
Let me see if I can do that.
Screen. Okay, so I think you should be able to share it now.
Okay, let's see. What did I do? I forget how to do this now. Okay, share screen down here. Share. This one right here. Share. Can you see it now?
It's starting. Yep, got it.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So anyway, I closed out. You know, we had some 2020 trees that were unsold at the beginning of the year. So I put something out to the group, and we sold all of those trees and made another $650 on that little thing. And then I started 2021 with a completely clear slate over here. No trees were in the way. And we, as you can see, there's the rootstock order, did later. And we have people who wanted rootstocks and have put in requests for them. And so I sold $735 worth of rootstocks from what we had ordered. And as you see, the total cost of rootstocks was $676. Anyway, so 5 members grafted 65 apples, 2 members grafted 22 pears, and we had, and they came over here. We did have a potting event here, and several of you were here to help pot trees. And it was a really, really good day. We potted all the trees out in my driveway, and we carried them over to the growing area, which is on my neighbor's property right behind my property. And so everything was set up at the end of that day with no real problem. And they grew on really, really well. So anyway, I had 2 or 3 different times that I sent out the list to the group to sell. I had great response both times. And as of today, I have 1 tree left. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I have 1 tree left, and I'm going to buy that one.
All right.
All right. So we don't have any left. All right.
Nice.
So I sold, let's see, $1,244 worth of trees for this year's. Now that's the ones that were left over after the plant sale. Okay, we did the plant sale in July, and we did not have a really great plant sale, I didn't think. The crowd was just not really that good this year. And but we did sell, and so all the ones that were left were sold. And I have a rootstock order coming in, but I'm not sure when it's coming. When I last talked to my contact up at Willamette, Cindy said that they're not thinking they're going to be able to send the rootstocks out in January at all this year. And even though we've moved it back a week into February, she says with the forecast of a really, really wet winter in the northwest, excuse me, they're not thinking they're going to be able to get things dug and sorted and out to us on time for our sign exchange. So we may have a lot of rootstocks left over. I know, Carol, I think you have some of the new rootstocks reserved. I ordered some Geneva 969 rootstocks this year, which is a semi-dwarf that has really, really good reviews and so forth. And I think it's going to be a good one. And I ordered 50 of those, and then I sent out to the group that I did, and I immediately sold all of those. So I ordered another 50, and I've sold, I think, either 10 or 20 of those, that 50. So I'm sure we'll be able to get rid of those. Okay.
Excellent.
We have some, Bob McCarville and Mike Kayak and I budded a bunch of peaches in, I guess that was in late March, early April. And Bob put them on his hot callousing setup. And I think we got 100% take on those. But then the grow on didn't work as well as we had hoped it would. So anyway, so that's about it for the Bow Manager's report. We will schedule one other thing. I grew some Valeriana seedlings this year. I probably have at least 50 growing in a raised bed. They're small. They're probably 1/8 inch. I've already, one person got in touch with me, wanted a source of those and really wanted the small ones to plant out this winter, and she's going to bud them this summer, or chip bud them probably in the fall. So they're probably 1/8 inch right now, but that's good. And we'll have those for next year anyway, if not later. But I'm going to try to get rid of some of them this year and get people to put them in the ground so they can bud them this year, and they'll grow. They'll be 1/2 inch, maybe 3/8 by the end of the summer if you put them in now. So that's the last thing. And then we will have the grafting thing probably in March, and hopefully in person. If not in person, we'll do it like we did last year. And that's about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I'm assuming you can get reimbursed, David, from the tree sales and deal with John about, getting whatever the excess money is back into the bank, as needed and all that good stuff for you.
John, I got it really well set up. We just fell back, share it with him, and he gets it right away in the account. And I send, that's been working all for years. I've been,
Yes.
Some years it's $1,200 worth of rootstocks that we order, but of course not the last couple of years.
Right. I feel if we don't get it by the time of our exchange, I would think that our members will buy them up, like we did the trees on the list, like we do that, and maybe even offer the other chapters if we have excess rootstocks so that we don't, have dead rootstocks at the end. So that should work out. I suppose we can't do too much until we hear from Cindy and Willamette, and whatnot on that end. I personally didn't order any rootstocks myself this year, so I'd probably be in the hunt for getting a few of them also.
As soon as I know for sure when we're going to get the rootstocks, I'll put a note out to the group and say, hey, look, we're not going to have rootstocks for sign exchange. Does anybody want them? And I'll have a lot of people that do want rootstocks.
Well, I
usually
think
the apples go pretty quickly, but the prunus doesn't necessarily move very well.
David, among our friends, what happens is if they didn't make it to the sign exchange, they'll periodically contact me. Are there any rootstocks? Do you have any extras? Do you have? I've brought home 10, 15 rootstocks that I actually wanted to use myself, and all my neighbors essentially bought them out for me. So I'm fine. The more fruit trees in my neighborhood is better than all the grapevines that are growing all over my neighborhood. So I'm real happy. But getting rid of rootstocks real easy. You talk to your neighbors and talk to some friends, and sometimes they'll say, "Can you show me how to graft?" I go, "Sure, come on over." And I've had a grafting clinic for 3 people, 4 people at my house with great regularity.
It's so much fun to do that and teach people how to graft, and then when they start, Ryan can
Oh,
tell you, when you first get that first graft to grow, and you say, "Oh my goodness, I did that," it's amazing.
it's contagious and addicting.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, look at me. How many trees I have? I still,
We stopped counting.
I do have a database, but I'm kind of ashamed to look at it sometimes. I have so many trees.
Well, the
Oh,
other thing,
is there a chance that I could get one of you master grafters to graft something for me?
Oh, absolutely.
There is at the Art and Garden Center in San Rafael, there is a historic pear tree that was originally from the orchard in front of the Mission San Rafael, dating back to the early 1800s. And I can get a cutting from that tree, and I have a pear rootstock in a pot. And if it got grafted, then the tree would be, there'd be one more historic pear tree.
Oh, certainly, Penny. That's no problem. Pears are usually pretty easy if you got a rootstock that goes on.
Yeah,
But,
no, I got the rootstock in a pot, but I'm not a grafter, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, we get together. But
So
you got to get some good. You've got to get some good 1-year wood from that tree. It can't be that old gnarly stuff with a bunch of spurs on it. It's got to have some good 1-year wood. Can you get that?
I'll try.
Yeah. If you find something that's, growing really vigorously somewhere in the tree. Doesn't have a
Well,
lot of spurs on it, a lot of branching. Yeah.
yeah, well, I'll see what I can do.
And we can graft 2-year wood, but it's not very good to do that.
Hmm. And the gardener at the Marin Art and Garden Center told me that the pears that come off this tree aren't all that great, but that's not the point. The point is it's a historic tree.
Yeah.
And it has a history, and where it originally started was at the Mission San Rafael.
Okay, Penny, it may be that the pears are really better than that person thinks they are, and they're just not picked and stored properly, and they're maybe a winter pear that has to store for 3 months before you eat it. You never
Yeah.
can tell. So,
Yeah.
do you know when they come off the tree?
I don't.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's important. The first article I wrote for the Fruit Gardener was about an apple tree up in Calistoga, up in the mountains that I had taken a cutting from and saved. And I haven't done DNA tests yet to prove that it's a seedling or not, but it remains. And I've, a bunch of people have it now. And that original tree, I'm about 99% burned down on those fires in Napa last year. So it's a great reason, because you just never know what's going to happen, whether it's a fire or, it falls over or some vandal tears it down. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Endicott pear tree back east in Danvers, Massachusetts. I went to visit that when I went back east, and it was really special, and then it had been knocked over. It's a pear tree. It's almost 400 years old. It was planted by John Endicott, one of the Plymouth, pilgrims, and it's still alive. It's almost 400 years old, and it's broken over a few times, but because it's a seedling, it comes back from its own roots, and it's still alive, and pretty cool, and they're selling grafted ones in the Fedco trees this year. I had grafted one from Corvallis. I got a cutting, and ground squirrels decided that it was going to be lunch for them up at my property. So I want to try that one again. But another great example of pears, there are some really great ones out there that might not be the tastiest pear, but are very worth preserving and sharing with people. And you could always make perry out of the ones that aren't the best. Right? Drinking. That always makes it better. So yeah, that's really exciting. I love doing that stuff. In fact, there's an old tree that is on the Both State Park, kind of the St. Helena, Calistoga, west side of Napa Valley, that I had found on an old homestead maybe 8 years ago. That's a wonderful apple tree. It's a grafted tree. I don't know what it is yet. I think it might possibly be a Macintosh, like a really old Mac, but just loaded, blemishless in the middle of the forest, too good to be true. I've taken backpacks of apples off this thing, and Of course, the one I grafted got eaten by squirrels, and I'm hoping that it didn't burn down. I'm going to go hike up there this winter, and if it's still alive, I'm going to take cuttings. So I know Dick had one in his woods near Dick Kirk's house as well that he was, and that probably burned down in the fire by him. So, we're losing our homestead properties with these fires left and right. Millions of acres are burning, and the time is now to save those trees in that sense. You just never know what tomorrow brings. I'm all about those stories. I've saved pomegranates from the Sonoma Vallejo's house. That was another fun thing that they had. They actually have 4 seedling pear trees at the Vallejo house. That's from Vallejo's era. And, the people there will let you take cuttings of them if anyone's interested. And some of them are good quality pears too. So yeah, that's a great thing. I love all that. So got a couple more things on our agenda here, you guys. I don't know if Jim's still with us. I think we lost Jim, but Jim's trying to move on and not do the webmaster work next year for us. I did put out a note to our groups. I only had one response. There's a young gentleman that I believe his name was Stradivarius. I want to say his name was, but he wanted to learn a little bit more about that. Jim Foley is willing to transition us once again. As needed to get the new webmaster up to speed. I personally am really not. I'm not a webmaster, so I can't take this on. I don't have the skills, but so we definitely need someone to do that. And now that we have the access to the Zoom, I was a little bit unsure about that part personally, like how to do the Zoom and the webmaster stuff. But Zoom's kind of separated now, so I feel like we can really start doing things with that, regardless of how up to date our website is. But I want to get that moving. So if anyone has any suggestions with that, please let me know. It doesn't have to be right this second. And I can email the group maybe one more time and say, hey, I've had one response. Does anyone else want to do this? And then I would probably have Jim kind of, I don't want to say interview this person that volunteered or is planning to volunteer. And hopefully that'll work for that position. Miley was wanting us to go over the leadership positions for the 2022 election of officers. I don't know if anyone has anything, if anyone is trying to step down or if anyone else is trying to step on. I haven't heard anything from anybody on that accord. So I don't know if we want to do that right now or delay that. Does anyone have an opinion on doing the election of officers for today or another day?
Do we have enough people here?
Let's see.
For a quorum for that?
I know, right? Because we don't
have. It might be that we need to table that just until, we should have a different meeting maybe. Yeah. I don't, that we can have a little more availability for, even if it's we piggyback it onto, hey, we're going to have this presentation. And while you're all here right now,
right,
we need to give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down on some things.
I'm all for that, because about half of us aren't here right now. It looks like, for that. We got John and Jim are missing and Miley's missing. So that's 3 out of 7 or something. So yeah. So
have the current officers expressed willingness to continue on for another year?
I haven't really heard anything, besides Jim wanting to not do it. That was the only one. I'm listed as publicist and chair, so we could definitely find a publicist, or if someone else wants to do chair, I'm not, opposed to anything. There, we have Alan on the grant.
Oh, if you're not termed out, you're staying as chair. That's how it works.
Pushed out. So we got secretaries Rachel. I'm listed as chair and publicist right now. Jim is the current website coordinator, which will need to be changed. John's treasurer, as far as I know, he's fine with that. And Alan, if you're still okay.
I'm okay with this.
Okay, and I believe Miley's still okay. I know we send Dick and Phil usually these leadership emails, though I don't know if they have a technical title right now. But either way, they're both not here right now either. So so let's table that one. I like that idea. Thank you, Rachel.
I would appreciate if you would add the bio manager as a position, and because it's not a position now. And I get the emails, but I'm not an official position.
That's a good note. And it is a position. It's very.
And I also do the membership, do the web,
right.
Our group thing, which I'll give a little presentation of that later if you want me to.
Okay. Yeah, I think we could even potentially have that as two different things. You know, the membership lists serve manager and bio manager. You know,
We need to, because, you know, I've got to pass this baton someday. I'm getting kind of tired of some of this stuff. I really need a better co-manager for some of this. Bob McCarville has done a wonderful job of doing some of it, but Bob has been so busy. He's been working 7 days a week with this job because his right-hand man had to have hernia surgery, and he's just totally, you know, tapped out right now, and has not been able to really help me very much.
okay.
I don't need help very much this time of year, but later on I really do.
So David, you should kind of write out what the requirements would be, or what the recommended requirements would be for that position. I mean, you've done it, you know, for so long, and you clearly know it as sort of on autopilot for you, but maybe somebody else who wants to, you know, become your assistant for a year or apprentice or whatever, probably should have a
Well,
kind
that's
of a
what I was
written
hoping.
stint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was hoping that Bob would do this. You know, I was trying to transition some of this to Bob, but he's been so busy, he just really hadn't had a chance to do it. So I need somebody probably who has a little bit more time, a little bit more energy than Bob has
Yeah.
to do this.
But, you know, also, but even just writing what the requirements, how much space, water, et cetera, you know, stuff that Keith used to do a lot of as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so, but he had space, he had water, I mean, he had it set up. So it's a matter that somebody else wanted to step in at that level, or
Right.
at least know what's involved. And it may have to be a split position, maybe, you know, half, and he, like right now, Bob does some, you do some. It may
You
end
know,
up being
Bob does primarily the peaches and some of the other pruners.
and then
I don't
Wiley
like
does-
to do the pruners here because I have so much bacterial canker that I try to get that off site.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
and
Miley
then
does
Miley
some,
has done some also. But
right.
yeah, it's just we're trying to break it up at least some.
Yep.
But I'm going to need somebody to take over for long. And the membership thing is not really that hard to do. It means being available just about every day to check and make sure nobody's trying to join the group and have issues. But other than that, it really doesn't take very much time once you learn what you're doing.
Mhm.
I feel like we could try to recruit people through our listserv, hopefully to help us with some of these positions. I'm writing some notes down right now about that. But yeah, if you wanted to maybe just get like was suggested, kind of a list of things that would be you'd be responsible for that position, we could forward that to our group and hopefully find some volunteers that would be adequate for us. So I think that's definitely good. So let's probably try to look at some help with biomanager and webmaster, which I might have a person for already. Potentially publicist too. I'm not opposed to doing what I can do, but you know, if there's someone out there, we should check. We might have some superstar publicist that doesn't know that we need a publicist. So let's try to do that. And do you want help with the listserv now, David, or?
It would be good to have a backup on that and to have someone to learn the system. You know, Groups.io is just really a fantastic site.
Yeah.
And we don't use it much for just an email thing. But, you know, it has so much capability of storing photos and all this sort of thing. And I don't think people really getting involved in doing it, just doing the email part.
Yeah.
I know that Keith was really adamant about having everybody write up their job descriptions, and I might have the backup of that. So I made a note in the minutes that I'm taking right now that I should check for that, because I'm pretty sure I have for all of our officer titles and roles that we have in the leadership positions here.
Cool. That would be helpful.
But I've never done it, Rachel. I've
You've
never
never
written it up.
done that? Okay, David.
No.
Well, what I can do is I can send you what some of the other ones are so you can kind of see the general template that we use, because we kind of standardized it a little bit.
Okay.
And then important things for us to know from biomanagers specifically are going to be like ordering. So like, who do we order from and when do we need to get our orders in to make sure that we get rootstocks at some point. And the hand waving and magic always happens with rootstocks and however the weather is working and stuff. But I know those would be the two very, like if your job description completely disappeared, we would be looking for how do we do these things. So maybe I can write up some things based on what Keith and I had worked out for other job descriptions, and maybe I can just kind of have you fill in the blanks on it.
That sounds good. Easier for me that way. I'm not one of these people that likes to compose stuff and write it up.
Excellent. Thank you, Rachel. That'd be
So for our group, I would like to suggest a bit of humor in our board, and I think we need a chief gopher manager.
oh,
We need to have a category.
Oh
I mean,
boy.
somebody who's the designated gopherist for this particular set.
yeah, we could use one of those. I could use a ground squirrel manager personally. It would be absolutely. This year bears came in and ate my crop up north.
Oh,
Oh no.
oh, wow.
They left big presents for me.
Oh God.
Fertilizer.
Yeah, I lost like 99% of the apples this year up there. We had a fire right by our place. We actually got evacuated, and these bears came in, and I guess they needed something to eat. So no 2021 cider from Mr. Ryan here. So, oh well. Yeah, the pests are tough. They really are. Here in Napa, it's so easy to farm compared to up in the mountains where I'm trying to do my stuff. It's night and day. So I got a couple more things here, you guys. Thanks for everyone's time again. I appreciate it. So let's quickly talk. Well, not quickly, but let's talk about Festival of Fruit. So I some of you probably know I'm a director on the national board. So we had a meeting recently about various things. Festival of Fruit came up, of course, and we had volunteered, and so that is official. So we will be we are planned to host the 2022 Festival of Fruit in August, Santa Rosa, pretty much trying to kind of take the template that we had and scoot it over, essentially. I don't know if the speakers and all that are going to line up again and whatnot. And we have quite a lot of time still. So I don't want to go too far into that, but we should probably start reserving venues and whatnot in the next month or so. I don't think we have to do that today, and we could probably even have Festival of Fruit be part of our next meeting when we circle back, maybe to election officers and get deeper into that. But the national board is expecting us to host it in August, so and 2023 is going to be in Arizona, and it's going to be in Arizona in November or December time. It's going to be a later time, and they're going to be focusing on dates, so like palm dates. Is going to be their focus. We're going to still focus on Burbank fruits and introductions is kind of our focus for us this year. And so, August is a good time especially with plums, right, Rachel, and things that a lot of Burbank's fruits. And for them, November is better for next year for them because the heat in Arizona and a lot of the dates ripen quite late. So just a heads up on that. Nothing's been discussed about 2024 yet, so the national group's doing great, by the way. We have like a couple $1 million in the bank. So the national group's very strong. There was a huge endowment by that one man that passed away, I believe Nipsey Davison, and he left like $1 million for the fruit gardener. It's incredible.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
We have the fruit gardener's fine for the next decades, literally.
Mhm.
And Ron's still running that there, Ron Couch. He talked to me he was actually wanting to do a full page feature on the Festival of Fruit this coming issue, but we just had nothing really prepared yet with dates. So I think the next issue beyond that, we're going to have that for him. So, in about a month, we kind of need to give him something. That way we can start advertising internally with our entire collective membership of CRFG.
Well, Ryan, we got to get busy on getting speakers and everything lined up if it's in August, because these people have their schedules and so forth. Now, my keynote speaker that we had planned for last year was oh gosh, I forgot his name. The guy from Arkansas. Anyway, he actually contacted me and said, "Do you want me to speak this year?" I said, "Yes, I do."
Awesome.
So he's online. He's a big berry breeder from Arkansas. I've had a senior moment. I can't remember his last name right now, but he's nationally known and a really good speaker, and everybody loves to have him. So he should be good. if you want to see any of its videos, he has a whole bunch of videos. If you'll Google blackberry breeding Arkansas, it'll come up, and he has a whole bunch of different videos about his new cultivars that he's produced through the years, and he's out in the field showing them, so you can see he's a good guy. And he went to Mississippi. He got his master's in Mississippi State University.
Oh,
Not right.
great
At the same,
backyard.
I was living, in that area, Columbus and Starkville, but just 20 miles apart. He was at Mississippi State when I was starting my practice in Columbus. Interesting, yeah. So anyway,
Thank you.
but I was getting the speakers for the last meeting, and I've got a whole list. And if anybody wants to take that list and start working on it again, we've lost one person. Amiga Bob was going to speak to us when he died. But we have a lot of people, from David Karp from Southern California was going to come up and speak to us, and Andy Mariani, Todd Kennedy, of course, they're old-time CRFG folks, and then a whole bunch of other people. Rachel was going to speak. I was going to speak, whatever.
Yeah, I hopefully we can get a good amount of them. I think looking at there's some agenda items that are going to carry over. Rachel, sorry, go ahead. You're waiting there.
We may have a hiccup with our venue. So Santa Rosa Junior College still is not gone to full in-person teaching. We are transitioning to in-person teaching partially, and they're still emphasizing if your class can be remote, that it should be remote for spring. I have the new guidance from the president of the university over there, and it doesn't look like they may be very hesitant to allow us to occupy their space, especially if we don't have a vaccination requirement, because they do have a vaccination requirement now at Santa Rosa Junior College. So I think we really need to make sure that we can dial that in as our venue first before we start doing everything else. And if we can't, then maybe we just need to explore the option of what other locations would have a venue that we could possibly utilize. Yeah. SRJC was really nice because it's centrally located down there. We've got a lot of support from people in their departments and things. We've done it there before. So it had a lot of perks associated with it. Luther Burbank Home and Gardens as a venue for when we were doing the welcoming thing is available. We are doing in-person events now of limited size with whatever guidance has come out from the health officer, which right now is very minimal because it's an outdoor venue. And so we get away with doing pretty much anything we want here. We don't have huge parties of people anyways, but it will be an issue to try to get Santa Rosa Junior College on board.
Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, that's a good point. We might need to potentially move venues, potentially, if it's too difficult, I suppose, being it's August, yeah, outdoors, it's obviously not going to rain. we could all do a rain dance, and it's not going to get rain in middle August probably. So we could probably do, I think we have more flexibility, in that sense, than we do, say, for the Scion Exchange, right? Which is going to be cold and rainy probably, So I think we should do another meeting here about election of officers, with the job descriptions and all those things, trying to find, recruit people as well. We should try to recruit them beforehand, next, if we get the job descriptions, and then just schedule a meeting to try to, fill those positions, as well as maybe perhaps create a committee for the Festival of Fruit like we had done. See if there's some volunteers that want to help with the various things that we're going to need to do. It's a big to-do, right? So that's something that we'll need some help with, and of course, and then figuring out booking venues and whatnot too. I think we have plenty of money to do everything as far as that's not a concern, and we should be able to hopefully raise enough money to cover most or maybe all of our expenses of doing that would be nice. But either way, I think us hosting this event every 5 to 10 years is not going to hurt our chapter financially too much. So let's revisit that, our next meeting. And let's see. So Yeah, so that's good. So we'll definitely need to do a committee for the Festival of Fruit and start booking some venues and also reaching out to some speakers and whatnot. We should see who's willing to do what as far as helping us. I think we have a group of 300 or so in our listserv. Do you know how many are in there, David?
I do. I was going to give you a report of that. We have 200 and, oh, shoot, I've forgotten, 230 or so members right now, active members.
Okay.
And as you know, I'm requiring CRFG membership to be a member of the group. And so we lost 100 or so members, but they're probably people who came in and then lost interest and never did follow up because they didn't seem to get too upset when they no longer got the emails. Right. So start first of the year, if Richard Delph's down in Santa Clara chapter plans to have a virtual sign exchange again, which he's thinking about, he requires, the chapter there requires active CRFG membership to be a participant in a virtual sign exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what really got us interested in doing that last year and getting our membership all on board like they were supposed to have been all along, which of course, without any help, I never have gone through and culled the members every year, which you should do, because it's difficult to take the CRFG membership list and compare it to our list.
Right.
And Richard and Bill Grimes supposedly are working on an easier way for that to happen. If that ever happens, then it'll be very easy for me to say, okay, everybody on this list, your membership is expiring, you need to do it right now, type of thing. But so if I had a little help on the membership part, then that's something we could do too. Rachel's helped us with that in the past and so forth, but okay, so that's the next thing.
All right, so that's definitely something that we need some more help, from some positions here. So we need to do some recruitment. 230 people, there should be a couple people that can help us with some of those positions, I would imagine. Of course, lots of room for growth for our chapter as always. There could be lots more. I think most people I encounter in when I do wine tours, for example, I always talk about viticulture as well as just winemaking, and most people have no clue that these vines here are grafted clones or how they're created, or so the general public awareness of things that we do is pretty limited. So I feel like there's always ways to grow. Again, it's difficult to recruit in these trying times, but if anyone ever has ideas for getting more people involved, I'm all about it, because we got to keep that energy up, and always keeping new people coming in is great, but people come and go, they try it out and they come and go, and but some people you can't get rid of. It's a good thing, like all of us. So yeah, so the last agenda item for me is to go over the sign exchange. If there's anything that anyone wants to speak about that, would be our last agenda item today. Obviously, we got the venue booked for February 6th, and I talked to John Tuela briefly. He's got some pretty cool cuttings from the Wolfskill that at the various chapters, we all submitted some cutting requests, and you might have seen that. I didn't get really much response from our chapter as far as requests. I was gonna let people just, see what they wanted and we kind of vote on it or whatever. I had one person write about mulberries, and that was it. And so actually there are some mulberries in our package that we're gonna get from John. So, but we're also, I ordered, no one chose anything. So I ended up choosing a few obscure kiwis. So I got some of the would be as the golden kiwi. So there's 2 different golden kiwis and also an orange fleshed kiwi. And we're gonna have about 10 cuttings of those. And I'm happy to share those with anybody that wants to try to root them out for yourself and for future sharing of the chapter. The idea is to get some things that we just can't really find in the nursery trade. So, and I think I don't know if those kiwis will do well for me up north, but I know in Napa, Sonoma County, Marin, those kiwis are just fine. And I think they handle 10 degrees Fahrenheit, so they can, no problem with our winters, but that might be kind of fun. A good friend of mine swears that any male kiwi of any of the species can pollinate the other ones. So I didn't get a male one. So I'm hoping that our males from our, our other Deliciosa species will cross, or the Arguta species will cross, if you're familiar with those. So that's something that's happening. John's planning on bringing those to the sign exchange. And I believe, the one thing I haven't heard about is a cutting party as far as Prush Park. Did anyone hear anything about that? David?
They're not going to have it.
They're not.
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
The guy who was organizing that has retired from the group.
Okay.
But they're not going to have a cutting party this year. So the signs that we'll have will be signs that we obtain.
Okay.
So we need to have a cutting party at my house and at Phil's house, in various and sundry places. And everybody who has lots of cultivars needs to think about cutting when they're doing their pruning. They need to start thinking about making some baggies of different varieties, so we'll have them. But this week, I had written Tim Bates up at Fallow Apple Farm to see if he would let us come get some cuttings from him, because I don't know whether I know, Carol, I think you've been up to Mendocino Exchange. You know the beautiful long wood that Tim Bates would bring, the apple wood and pear wood. So I wrote Tim and I said, Tim, you think that you could let us come up and get some of the wood from you? And he wrote me this week and said, I'm coming to Santa Rosa the first time in 30 years.
Wow.
To the sign exchange, and I'm going to bring wood. And he sent the whole list. And he said, if we need any more of these, let me know. So we will have at least some good apple wood. And I've got a bunch of pear varieties, that we'll have. But the prunus, that's something that we need to really work on. I hate to cut prunus out here in the middle of the winter because of the disease problem that I have. But so we're going to need to work on apples, and we're going to need to work on peaches and apricots and plums and pluots and so forth, to see if we can get some signs for the sign exchange.
Yeah.
Because one year, I don't know whether any of you were around when this happened, but one year in the distant past, we always got the signs from the other chapters that came down to us. The guy who was supposed to get them in Sacramento didn't show up with them. And we didn't have any signs hardly. I mean, we ran out by 10 o'clock. There were no signs on the table. So if we have a good turnout, which we may or may not have, depending on what's happening with COVID, but if we have a good turnout, we need some signs there. And so that's going to be up to us this year. And this is something we need to get out to the membership. Starting January the 1st, start cutting your signs and bagging them and putting in the refrigerator type thing. But I plan to have a cutting party here. Try to look at the weather forecast and try to have one when we have some more dry weather. And we can cut what few apples I have and the pears I have, certainly. And I have kiwis. I have the orange kiwi and I have the orange mayo that I got from Roger Myers when he was growing 7 kiwis from Southern California. And I have some other kiwis too. So I have Arguta mayo, I have Deliciosa mayo, and I have the orange mayo.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can make arrangements with Schoen Farm if we can get people together to go up and cut up there. They're really happy to provide material for us, and I'll be up there teaching the soil science lab every Tuesday and Wednesday. So it might work out really well for us to go up like on a Wednesday morning before I have to teach, and then I can just kind of show people where all the things are, and we can go through and do that. So I'll take the responsibility of arranging that with their manager up there.
Fantastic. That's great.
Thanks, Rachel.
What do they have besides apples, Rachel?
So they have apples, pears. They do have quite a few prunus. They have a lot of grapes now too, a lot of table grapes that they've been doing. So it's quite a good variety.
Good.
Thanks, Rachel. Wednesday mornings, I might be able to come up and help you. I'm usually free on Wednesdays, so that would be fun. I've never been to the property yet.
Do we need figs?
By the Laguna, yeah, like in the Laguna Flats. Yeah.
Yes, Penny, we need figs.
Okay, because I have a Col de Dame and a Violette de Bordeaux, both of which came from Wolfskill, that are willing to donate.
Good. Well, we have some good fig growers in our group here too, but we just need to let them know that we need the figs, because last year, I forget his name anyway, he got rid of all of his fig cuttings before the virtual sign exchange, so we didn't have any to give. Aaron Nelson's on, I noticed his name's there, and Aaron's got a bunch of good varieties over there. Aaron, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, because I don't think most people know you.
He's on mute right now.
Yeah, I know. Aaron, can you unmute yourself and talk to us a little bit?
You there? Not sure.
No.
Yeah, I had spoke to Aaron. I spoke to Aaron a little bit last week, just about a variety of things. But yeah, I know he was planning on attending today, so hopefully he'll be able to get in there. Yeah, you know, I have a bunch of stuff in my house. There's a couple trees that I probably won't share because I have mosaic and some of my apple trees. Sadly, the ones that I've been the one problem that I really am seeing with multi-grafted trees is you get one bad apple, and then your 18 variety tree is or it's eventually right. Actually had a really good crop off of my one that's mosaic this year, but I don't know. Eventually that might deteriorate and I'll have to do the chop and restart, but until the fruit's bad, I'm gonna run with it, I guess, right? But there's a bunch of stuff. I actually have one of the what is it called, the sultan plum. Mine's like 15 feet tall now, like 3 years old. It's massive. So I can probably take 20-30 feet of scions from the sultan plum, which would be really cool, and that's local, and so I'll plan on taking everything that I'm confident that's not diseased. And we got to really say that to everyone else too. Like, please be confident that as best of your knowledge, this is not disease. You've never seen nothing, funky on your tree, because otherwise we're just sitting in disease all around. And that's my only concern with when we do it ourselves. And when we kind of ask the people not on the street, but like, the regular members that maybe aren't so experienced perhaps with diseases and things like that, or, not that I am an expert, I'm not, but just visually, that's just the only thing. But yeah, I think it'd be great. I'm sure we have plenty, and we don't want to speak for Phil and Miley, but they have a ton of stuff too, and they probably would share. Dick Kirk has a ton of stuff he could probably share too, and a lot of other, Bob has an incredible peach collection, so we have it here. We don't have to have Prush Park to make this happen, as long as people know to bring them, right? So that's cool. Yeah, I think, we have the hours as 9 to 1 still for that. And, and for the morning, or we're going to do the $5 entry is our plan still, like that'll hopefully pay for our thing. Nothing's much has happened for the publicist side of things yet on my end, as far as like, besides just the internal CRFG. I don't, it's not really been out to the public yet. That's something that we should improve, definitely by as soon as possible, I guess, start moving on that, trying to see. So yeah, so Scions is good. We have like 3 rooms there, so we can separate things a little more if we do want to do some talks and whatnot as well. The weather's a big unknown factor, right? So we don't really know if it's gonna be how the weather's gonna be, but it's probably gonna be cold and wet, right? So looks like most everything should be indoors for that event, and we have the space rented, correct? So I know we've been talking about COVID requirements, and that's kind of the last thing. And I've had a lot of private calls from different members and stuff about this. So I know there's people on every side of the fence here with that one.
Hey, do you mind if I say hi?
Hey, Aaron.
I finally figured out how to talk on here. Sorry. I'm doing well. I just heard, saying my name as a fig grower. I expect I can cut a number of trees and bring some. Most of my trees are relatively small, so I'm not really sure I can provide a lot of material. Mostly, I've already heard from a number of our members who are interested, so I'm bringing a couple cuttings of certain things to specific people. But I got a couple trees I think I can cut and bring a good amount of. So I'll try to come through with a couple of figs.
Thank you. Cool. Awesome.
One more thing on signs.
Yeah.
I don't like apples off of multi-grafted trees because of the mosaic virus that can be, so I only cut apples on trees that I have not multi-grafted. And I think everybody should do that on apples. Pears don't seem to be a big problem. The viruses on pears are not quite as, they have viruses, but most of the trees are okay and seem to do well even with it. So I don't worry about that too much, but just let people know that multi-grafted apples maybe are not the best ones to take signs from.
I'm going to write a note on that. Yeah. Yeah, good point. It's too bad because then, once the disease gets there, you have all these varieties that are essentially useless. And I one of my trees is like, all from those Lost Apple Project guys that is super, super rare. Now I got to go get them again. And it's kind of embarrassing, like when they've done you a favor and you're like, I thought you were good at grafting. Like the graft took, but there's diseases or whatever. But so that's a good point. When we reach out to our general group, I want to try to include like these notes, like don't send to multi-grafted trees and things like that, and try to be aware of if the plant has diseases or not before we share them, and spread that around. But I'm confident that we have enough stock, scion stock in our groups to make this be a success as far as not running out of scions early and whatnot. It's too bad about Prush. They have some really cool stuff. I went to one of the cutting parties. I'm sure most of you have too, and it's a lot of fun, doing that. That Santa Rosa crab apple, if anyone's gotten in that one, they found in Prush Park. We're trying to figure out a DNA test on that one to see if that's like a Wixon seedling or what that thing is. There's some fun stuff going on. That's some super high bricks, like in the 20s or something, which is really unusual for an apple to get that sweet. It's almost a wine grape status sweetness. So you might be able to make like a 10% cider from that, which would be, a good knock your socks off holiday drink. So was there, I forget if there's anything else on that. Okay. So sign exchange, we're going to need some volunteers, obviously, to run the door and collect money, check the membership thing if need be and whatnot. We haven't really advertised this yet. Normally we're open to the public, right? If we do it just CRFG members, I think we won't make our money back for sure. But we haven't really talked about this, but if we're trying to do this to the public still, this is one of our biggest things of the year, and Aaron and I actually spoke a couple of days ago about, it's important for us to stay relevant and have meetings and have, events and whatnot. And we haven't had an event in 2 years, to open to the public. So I'm hoping we can pull that off. The last thing is really the COVID requirements, you guys. It's an uncomfortable situation because we don't really know. No one knows for sure what's going on, right? And and I've been getting private calls from a lot of members that are on all over the place about it and like what, asking questions. And I really don't know, what's going on. I feel personally like we should probably just run with the health department of Sonoma's guidelines. I think we should definitely wear masks in this situation. As far as doing a vaccine requirement, I don't really know how we could necessarily do that. Like effectively, being it's not required in the county, so we would have to like kind of go above and beyond if we're going to do that. Some of the concerns with that is with some of the young children that want to go. I have a young kid. Aaron's got some. Rachel's got kids. There's a bunch of people with children as well that have been reaching out to me, and some of those children are not vaccinated, and some are. So that's a little uncomfortable. This is the hardest part of being a chapter chair this last year has been kind of hands tied with not being able to do events and then trying to respect everyone's wishes and safety and health too is extremely important. I'm a 41-year-old man. I'm not in the same situation as everyone else in the group and everyone's different. So I want everyone to be comfortable and I want everyone to attend. And I don't know how that is perfect to do that. Just
What are we looking at it as the date at this point?
February 6th, and we kind of need to get together before then anyways.
Mhm.
As far as like, we're tabling a couple things, right? So we want to revisit this in a few weeks and see if anything's changed for the better, hopefully, right? But I don't know. I'm not sure what's best there. My biggest concern, I think, is excluding people. I'm not necessarily opposed to like unvaccinated people showing a negative test to still get in. I think that's fair if people to do that. The idea is to not spread a disease around, right? So like with Mosaic, I mean, it's people and plant. We all have the ability to spread disease, apples and humans. So I would think maybe we revisit this. For me, I would still want people to be able to come. I just don't want to, my exclusion is really something I'm trying to avoid here with this group. This is a nonprofit, 50-year plus group. We've never excluded anybody, and I'm concerned about exclusion. And there's members that aren't going to tell us their status if we, unless we kind of make them and that kind of thing too. So like, and again, there's a lot of kids that want to come to the event as well, and some, so I don't know what's best with that, you guys. That's for me is really uncomfortable, and I really want to respect everyone's position and also make sure this goes on without a hitch.
Well, no, I've told you this before. If we don't have a vaccine requirement, I won't be there. Okay.
Would you
be? I think there are a lot of the older people like me shouldn't be there if we don't have a vaccine requirement.
Right.
I'm very, very adamant about this. Now, I know that it's impossible to do it. We can just let people be, tell us they're vaccinated and come in, fine. But if we don't have a vaccine requirement, I will not be there. I'm an older guy. I'm at risk.
Yeah.
How many people have died with this thing? And it's right now, and I was talking to Dick Kirk, his son is a infectious disease specialist at Cedars-Sinai in LA. He said they're filled up again, unvaccinated people.
Really?
Okay. Anyway, I'm just telling you that.
Would you be comfortable with if unvaccinated people gave a proof of negative test like they do for a concert?
If they had a rapid test, I would.
Like within, let's say, 72 hours or something?
No, within 24 hours.
24 hours?
If they had a rapid test negative within 24 hours, I'd be comfortable with it.
Okay.
But I am adamant about this.
Yeah.
Okay, I am adamant about this. Alan, you're a physician. What do you think?
I agree. I think I would put a vaccination required when we put out the publicity, as well as the people who want to show up who don't having a negative test. I agree. I think it's but we can put out on our PR, we can put out on all our thing is that it's a vaccination required event. That off the top will probably tell a bunch of people they're not coming. That's fine. I don't want them either. And then you can say, if you can't get vaccinated, can you present a rapid COVID negative test?
Right.
But if we put it in the PR up front, we're not going to be fighting people at the door.
Yeah. And, I think the general public is at this point in time pretty used to having to produce their document as they go into venues.
Yeah.
I think the stickiest part is with bringing kids to the event, and I know like Aaron and I wanted to bring our kids, and some of them aren't even old enough, yet for that option. So it's tough. Rachel, you.
Yeah, so I appreciate the desire to not exclude people as well, but I think that most of our volunteers who would want to participate are not really going to be willing to put themselves at risk too much. So what I would like to suggest is that we offer to people who would like to attend but don't want to disclose vaccination status, aren't vaccinated, or maybe just can't even make it to the venue or don't want to be around that many people. If we give them a kind of form that they can fill out in advance that has volunteer shoppers that go around for them. Those shopper people myself, where since I don't need a lot of things on my list anymore, usually what I do is sit there and graft for people, but I wouldn't mind taking those lists from other people and trying to find scions for them that they could either pick up from me at the Burbank Gardens at a later date. So it's just like kind of an outdoor, almost contactless pickup. Or if they want to pay for shipping and handling, we could send them their sign. And if you include that $5 fee in the shipping and handling, we're still getting their money that they would have come through with for entry. So it still gives us a little recoup for people coming to get scion material, and it doesn't exclude as many people. So like, I know that it's fun that everybody gets to come around and look through the tables, and they might find things that they didn't even have on their list. It might be that we don't have all the things on their list, and so we have to give them substitutions, and they might end up with something they already had. But I feel like that's a way that we can be inclusive with our event and still make sure that we are being safe at the same time.
It's a nice idea. Yeah, I think if we can do that without making those people maybe feel alienated with, however that is, I just want everyone to not have a bad taste in their mouth. And I also don't want anyone to get sick, and, we just don't know. I mean, there's so much conflicting science and numbers about everything. So I'm not a physician. So I just want everyone to have a good time in our little fruit club. That's the most important thing. I'm personally okay with doing that if we are able to have a proof of negative test for the folks that are in chemotherapy and can't have a vaccine or whatever. There are reasons, besides just choosing not to for some folks. So that's probably a cool way to do it. It's not perfect for the kids, right, Aaron and Rachel, I hate for them to have to sit one out, but
my kids don't go to events. I could just put that out up front. Like my 9-year-old is fully vaccinated now. My 4-year-old doesn't leave the house. I drove him around to see Christmas lights for the first time, like since he's been tall enough to see out the window, and he fell asleep because it was boring. So like they just don't come out. And I know that we really want to encourage them and foster their activities, but maybe this isn't their year.
Right. So if anyone has any suggestions on that, let me know. I think that being a lot of our members, are in higher risk, this is unusual. It's an unusual situation. And I think as much as I don't really want to have extra requirements and stuff, but at the same time, this is our private event in a way, right? It's a public-private event, and we can kind of choose what we do. So the majority of you all feel more comfortable that way. I'm not trying to put my foot down. I'm the only guy or whatever. And I don't have a big fight about it. I just don't want to exclude anybody. Because I want our chapter to grow. And I know that youth, that's why you guys brought me in originally, it's because it's bringing up the energy and bringing the youth, and we need the young kids. And that's also why we want to do the school grafting and all these things too, right? And scholarships, so all that's important. My only concern is more of that than anything else. So, and again, Rachel has an interesting idea where if you don't want to have a negative test or whatever, you can still do this, and we're not going to shame you, and it shouldn't be a big deal, right? So, we have a huge venue, it's very large, and we can space things out more than we have before, I think, easily. I doubt we're going to have a record turnout, regardless of requirements.
It might be a little bit bigger though, because Golden Gate isn't doing one. I think Monterey might be doing one. I'm not sure. A lot of chapters aren't doing them. So we might get a larger draw from the broader audience.
Right. Sacramento's not doing one either. So, and I think
Well, in that case, we really need to notify all the other chapters of our requirement.
Yeah.
Because they're not looking at our chapter notes, they're not looking at our advertising. We have to let anybody coming up to Sonoma's, Scion Exchange has to meet these requirements. Let all the chapters know that right up front.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair for sure. And
I would just like to say, from my perspective, at this point, I don't particularly need the Scion Exchange, like Rachel was saying, as far as filling my list of things. I find that most stuff is available, through relationships you can make with people online all across the country or whatever, as far as Scion would for most materials. But that I look forward to the event as something that, in past years, I kind of have dragged my kids along. This is the first year that they're excited to actually graft some things. My daughter wants to graft figs this year. My son wants to graft apples. But they aren't vaccinated. And so, I just, like right now, I had the whole thing on mute and in my pocket and just listening along because I'm busy getting things done. And I probably will not be attending without the kids. And I'm not trying to leverage that or anything, just that I also, the Sign Exchange is really what got me involved in California Rare Fruit Growers at all. It's a cool event. At this point, I have a handful of people who I have already talked to that I'm going to, through the listserv, a member is going to bring me a white sapote that I can, and some scion I can graft onto, things like that. Stuff that's not necessarily to be on the table, but, I get these relationships, meet with people. And that's kind of the interesting, exciting element of it to me, to kind of keep me involved. And like I said, I'm not trying to leverage anything. I don't have any ultimatums either. Just kind of, just kind of my perspective and kind of what's going on with me, and in my hope for trying to continue to have events that keep people interested, keep people involved. And I don't know that any of this trumps anybody else's concerns or anything like that. And it's not really what I'm attempting to do, as much as just try to put my thoughts out there that we can kind of have as part of the discussion, or for things people to think about.
Thank you. Yeah. It's it's not. It's going to be hard to make everyone happy in this situation. Erring on the side of caution, going that route, I think is going to make the majority of our chapter comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I have a young daughter, as well, that's interested as well. And, it's tough. It's tough. I think we probably, I think the consensus is probably that, that we do this with requirements, just to be extra safe and protect our older members, or members that are younger with morbidities or whatnot, or other things. You can be 20 with bad lungs, right? And that'd be a really concern for you to get this disease. So, I would suppose, again, it's tough. Yeah. Would everyone be okay with, doing it, vaccinated or a proof of a test that works for everyone? That's pretty much what everyone's doing right now, as far as like, if you want to go to a concert or whatever, a ball game or something, or I just went to Hawaii, I had to get a test for my daughter, because she's not vaccinated yet. And, it was a little bit of a, some extra steps, right? But it's not, we still went to Hawaii. It was great. So we all want this to pass, I would hope. And, I think next year, let's hope that it's completely open to the public by next year, right? Like I don't know how that's going to be attained at this point, but I don't see any other way for this working with us internally than to have a requirement here, as much as I'm really not personally wanting to do too many extra things, but I also don't want people not showing up because of it either. And I also don't want anyone feeling that they're in risk of anything by just going to a sign exchange. So that's probably the best.
The relative number of people at risk in this group is high.
Right.
The number of unvaccinated people is low.
Right.
I'd keep them out. If they are willing to, if they want to be not vaccinated, they can keep away from public events, as far as I'm concerned. But if you look across the screen right now, you've got enough people at risk just within this group here.
Yeah.
And if you look at who's wandering around the venue, I do the rootstock sales, so I get to see everybody. And I can tell you, it's an older crowd in general, and it's a high risk crowd. So it's really imperative that we maintain, the health requirement above and beyond. If it means the kids can't make it, I'm sorry. I love seeing kids there as well.
Yeah.
But it's not appropriate for them to be there in
Fair enough.
under the circumstances.
Let's move forward with that for this year. Next year we can hopefully open it back up to everyone. I think that's that seems like the most reasonable thing to do with everyone involved right now. And if Rachel, if you're willing to kind of at least like maybe get a little, I don't know if form's the right word, but maybe form for people that, and they don't have to admit that they're not vaccinated or whatever it is, but just if they don't want to come in, and they can be vaccinated and not want to come in too, right? So there's probably some of us that don't want to be around public yet, regardless of, of everyone's status. So that would be a cool way to get people to still be able to come get some things, not be fully excluded, get scions, and and hopefully we can do this 100% normal next year. I don't think anyone thought it was going to take this long, but it did. So, and I think that's the majority of our members are older and are at high risk, so it's important. So.
Yeah, I'll take care of writing up the job description for the shoppers, the volunteer shopper people. I already have a couple of people who are really interested in doing that because they have kind of reached the end of their list and they don't mind shopping for people at the same time. Cool. Thanks, Carol. And so I'll work on that and then also work on kind of a form that people can fill out. We'll probably want to limit the number of accessions that they could have total. Just because we don't want a list of 75 things that we have to try to find for people. And then I'll also in that recruitment include something in there. So if you are a person that knows you're going to be cutting a lot of scion wood from various things, we could have a little pre-list that we put together. That was kind of like what we did last year for our online scion exchange, that people could just select from those items too. Or they could say, I'm looking for a crab apple, or I'm looking for a sweet pear, or I'm looking for a dessert pear, something like that. And so I'll take that on, and I'll take on the responsibility for coordinating the volunteer shoppers for the event as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Cool. My pen is dying on me here. Shoot. Well, guys, that's really the agenda for today. If there's anything else that anybody wants to, any concerns or comments, or our time is, I guess we went a little over here. So I want to thank you all very much for attending today. I appreciate it. This is my first one I'm hosting, and it's an honor to do that. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope that this solves most of our issues for right now. Let's plan to circle back on some of the tabled items, about election of officers, also getting the description of jobs, and we'll try to get some help for David, and we'll, publicist and webmaster and some of those things. Again, I do have one person that wrote me already about the webmaster I'm going to look into. Mm-hmm. And we can, we can discuss any of the details about the sign exchange as well beforehand. But we definitely should get moving. I'll plan on getting a note out to the other chapters, being the first kind of publicist move, if we will, to at least let our chapters know we are going to do this. This is what's going to be like. This is, what we're going to do, and and invite them up, because I think Rachel, you actually are right. Being that a couple of them aren't doing it, our draw might actually be better than we expect in that sense. So, and we're also going to need to let everyone know that we need to collect scions ourselves this time and can't bank on Prush. Super cool that Tim Bates is coming out. That's going to help a lot. And so I think we can totally do all this. And once we get through sign exchange, I think it'll be a lot easier to just get really deep into festival fruit, but it's a little hard to do both at the same time, So if anyone has any ideas, questions, concerns, please reach out to me. I'm recording this event here, and I'll have it available for anyone that wants to see it. I'm not exactly sure how to put this on YouTube yet, but we'll figure it out. So it'll be saved on my computer for now. And is there anything else anyone else has to say at the moment? Or I think I'm going to adjourn the meeting here and let you all go enjoy your beautiful Saturday afternoon. And again, thank you all. I really appreciate it. It's really cool to be able to host. Thanks for your time, everybody. And, we're going to make it work as best we can. And I look forward to seeing everybody, and happy growing. And yeah, so let's have a great day. I will talk to hopefully everyone soon. And please let me know if there's anything that comes up in the meantime.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very
Thank
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Have a great day, everybody. I appreciate it.
All later.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
I learned so much.